Hi, fourth graders, it's Miss Phillips, and we are going to read on in Tiger Rising today. Before we do, I just wanted to take a look at our most recent chapters of notes. And I wanted to remind you that one thing we talked about together in school is that now you are in charge of your own notes. So we don't just have to jot when our teacher jots. You guys can start jotting, and you should, as fourth graders do, jot whenever you think is a good time to jot. Whenever something important happens, whenever one of our new signposts come up. And so your notebook will start to feel more like your own, right? As of right now, I've been doing a lot of the leading in this matter, but you all are in charge of your own learning. And so as you're reading your independent reading books, or as your teacher's reading Tiger Rising, or whatever our next book is, you're going to start doing jots when you feel the time is right. We have done so much work, and you all are pros at this now. So before we get started on chapter 25, let's just remind ourselves what happened in our last chapters that we were reading. We had a chapter 24, where Rob and Sistine were together after Sistine got home from school, and they decide that they're going to tell Willie Mae about the tiger. Well, Sistine wanted to tell Willie Mae about the tiger, and Rob was kind of freaking out because he knows he's not supposed to tell anyone. They end up sharing with Willie Mae about the tiger, and we noticed something interesting, that Sistine's reaction to when she found out about the tiger is pretty similar to how Willie Mae reacts when she finds out about the tiger. At first, Willie Mae was a little shocked and stressed out and exclaiming things like, "What?" and "Jesus." But then she basically ends by saying, "All right, well, why don't you show me where?" Which is very similar to how Sistine reacted when she heard about the tiger. They both just believe Rob and pretty much ask where. All right, so let's go ahead and turn the page, set ourselves up for chapter 25 of Tiger Rising. And today's date is 10/21. Okay. All right, here we go. The three of them walked through the woods in silence. Sistine and Rob chewed 8-ball gum, and Willie Mae smoked a cigarette, and nobody said a word. "Lord God," said Willie Mae when they came up to the cage. She stared at the pacing animal. "Ain't no reason to doubt the fierceness of God when he makes something like that," she said. "Who was the fool that caged this tiger up?" "He belongs to Beauchamp," Rob told her. "Beauchamp?" said Willie Mae with disgust. She shook her head. "One person in the world that don't need to be owning no tiger, and that's Beauchamp." "See," said Sistine, "it's not right, is it? Just like you told Rob about your bird and how you had to let it go." So Sistine's really trying to convince them. "A bird," said Willie Mae, "that's one thing. Tiger belonging to Beauchamp is another." "Tell Rob that he should unlock the cage and let him go," Sistine demanded. "I ain't," said Willie Mae. "You gotta ask yourself what's gonna happen to this tiger after you let him go. How's he gonna live?" Rob was flooded with sad relief. Willie Mae wasn't going to make him do it. He wasn't going to lose the tiger. Let's stop and jot, because that's a really interesting sentence there. I even underlined it in my book. Rob was flooded with sad relief. Those are kind of interesting feelings to put together. Rob, and I'm going to put this in quotation marks because that's what it says in the book. Rob was flooded, meaning it like rushed in on him, flooded with sad relief. Relief. So, what does that mean? Rob was flooded with sad relief. Well, Willie Mae says they cannot let the tiger go. This makes Rob feel sad, but also relieved that he doesn't have to do it. Now, I wonder if we just keep thinking on this, why he would feel sad about being told he can't let it go, and then also why he would feel relieved as to why he can't let it go. Panthers live in these woods, argued Sistine. They survive. Used to, said Willie Mae. Don't no more. Sistine put her hands on her hips. You're not saying what you believe, she accused. You're not talking like a prophetess. That's 'cause I ain't no prophetess, said Willie Mae. All I am is somebody speaking the truth, and the truth is, there ain't nothing you can do for this tiger except let it be. That's not right, said Sistine. Right ain't got nothing to do with it, muttered Willie Mae. Sometimes right don't count. Ooh, okay, what signpost is this, you guys? Right ain't got nothing to do with it, muttered Willie Mae. Sometimes right don't count. Sounds like she's giving a life lesson. Words of the wiser. Somebody just told our characters some advice. Now, we're going to think about what this means, but we're going to jot it down. So this is on page 99. And she said, right ain't got nothing to do with it. Sometimes right don't count. What do you think that advice means? I can't wait until my father comes to get me, said Sistine. He knows what's right. He'll set this tiger free. So readers, it sounds like every time Sistine doesn't get her way, she just throws a tantrum. Rob looked at Sistine. Your daddy ain't coming for you, he said softly, shaking his head, amazed at what he suddenly knew to be the truth. My father is coming to get me, Sistine said through tight lips. Nah, said Rob sadly. He ain't. He's a liar, like your mama said. You're the liar, said Sistine in a cold, dark voice. Her face was so white that it seemed to glow before him. And I hate you, she said to him. Everybody at school hates you too, even the teachers. You're a sissy. I hope I never, ever see you again. Hey, readers, do you think Sistine's being honest right now? Yeah, she's probably just feeling really upset, and she's taking it out on Rob. She turned and walked away, and Rob stood and considered her words. He felt them on his skin like shards of broken glass. He was afraid to move. He was afraid of how deep they might go inside him. She don't mean it, said Willie Mae. She don't mean none of what she say right now. Rob shrugged. He bent and scratched his legs as hard as he could. He scratched and scratched, digging his nails in deep, trying to get to the bottom of the itch that was always there. There's that rash again, readers. Wonder why that's coming up. Stop it, Willie Mae told him. Rob looked up at her. Let me tell you something, she said. I would love to see this tiger rise on up out of this cage. Yes, I would like to see him rise on up and attack Beauchamp. Serve him right for putting a wild animal locked up, putting you in the middle of this, giving you the keys to this cage. Come on. She grabbed hold of Rob's hand. Let's get on up out of here. As they walked back to the Kentucky Star, Rob thought about what Willie Mae had said about the tiger rising on up. It reminded him of what she had said about his sadness needing to rise up. And when he thought about the two things together, the tiger and his sadness, the truth circled over and above him and then came and landed lightly on his shoulder. He knew what he had to do. Okay, readers, so before we stop this chapter, two really important things just happened. So I want to talk about this explosion that just happened with Sistine. And I want to think about this. So Rob says to Sistine, your daddy ain't coming for you, he said. And then Sistine says, my father is coming to get me. And when Rob says, nah, he ain't. He's a liar, like your mama said. Then Sistine explodes. You're the liar. And I hate you. Everybody at school hates you too, even the teachers. You are a sissy. I hope I never see you again. I want to go ahead and write this down and think a little bit about what Rob said and what Sistine said. So Rob tells Sistine her dad isn't coming. Sistine gets so angry. But I'm curious, do you think that Sistine believes what Rob said to be true? And maybe that's why she got so upset with him? Does Sistine know that Dad isn't coming? This is just a question that I have. Okay. All right, so the chapter ends with Rob saying that he knew what he had to do. I'm wondering, readers, what do you think Rob has to do? Go ahead and jot your prediction in your notebook. See you for the next chapter.